All right, welcome to the AI Talks episode 2. Today we're going to be talking about Agentic AI and basically going through a full in-depth kind of conversation about it. Super exciting. And make sure to see our two other episodes. Episode 1, which was with our very own Jaime and Joseph Gideon, and our episode 2, which was our Meet the CEO. Those are both up on our YouTube. And we will definitely have links for those in all of our social media. So go ahead and check that out while you can. And yeah, so my name is Keshav. I'm going to be your host today. And then we have Jaime and we have Harini. Can we just go
Hello,
through
Keshav.
some introductions here? Yeah, we start with Jaime.
Sure. My name is Jaime Aguirre, and I am the head of AI Consulting at GenAI Consulting. 30 years industry experience, a lot of AI and ML, and trying to do the best I can. Trying to keep up with AI every single day, actually. But yeah.
Of course, of course. And Harini?
Hi, I'm Harini. I have spent the past few years building AI powered solutions that enhance the customer interaction. My work always revolves around generative AI, machine learning, deep learning, NLP, some AWS cloud deployments. From developing AI chatbots to creating the scalable AI-driven applications, I'm always exploring new ways to make AI more intelligent, adaptable, and useful in real-world scenarios. Yeah, that's about me.
Wow. Perfect.
Excellent.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay, perfect. I think so. This is a little segment that I love to do. I think this is very good for people that are watching because I mean we all love to use AI, but we kind of have three very. I don't want to say very different, but definitely different use cases of how we all use AI. I'm a student, so I tend to always go for like the educational route and like ChatGPT and whatnot. And we have industry professionals that have done AI for countless years and that have coded chatbots, and so we have a lot of different perspectives here on how we use AI. So I do want to start this off by saying the ways that I use AI this week. And as a student, ChatGPT, that's my bread and butter. You know that's my
Hmm.
OG. That's
Of
every
course.
day I'm using it almost.
Of course.
Not only for helping me with like studying and knowing what to study, but also like answering some questions and understanding like the thought process and all that. Like it's
Mhm.
super easy to kind of go through it with that. I know everybody relates with me on that, and it's a little bit too helpful sometimes, I would say. Um, but another one that I will say, and I did post about this in the Instagram, and it's called Storm AI. I believe if you just search up Storm AI, it is an AI powered by Stanford, and basically you can input any kind of topic you want to. So before this podcast, actually, I just inputted Agentic AI and the basic understanding of what Agentic AI is, and it'll give you a full 3-page PDF with sources
Mhm.
on exactly what you asked, and it'll tell you in like a nice little article format. So instead of going online, searching up
Yeah.
countless articles, going to all these links, I found this to be like one of the easiest things, honestly. And you can also go to the links that is being used. And well, right now it's on Bing, so I mean it's the same thing. So
Mhm.
I found that super useful for me. Um, but yeah, those are my top two for this week. And then I'm gonna hand it off to Jaime.
Sure. Well, no, just before I get into my use case, just know that people are saying the end of Google is near because of exactly what you just said. Is people don't want to go follow. So the last time I did a Google search, I don't know, it was like 3 million results. Um, do I want to go through 3 million results? I don't. I don't think many people have the time to go through 100 results. But
No
the fact that
time.
it can come back to you with the right hyperlinks, the references, the summarizations, I mean, this is just saving so much time for everyone involved. So anyway, that's where people are predicting the end of Google, the end of Bing, and all of those things. As far as my use case, well, I actually like to use it for some things that are maybe a little bit outside of my knowledge area. So what I used it for this week was fine-tuning my audio system at home. I have an audio system in my car, which I really like. I love the way it sounds. It's tremendous sound. And in my home, I have a better audio system, obviously, but I don't really like the way it sounds. So what I did this week is I took to ChatGPT to examine the different ways that my car audio system sounds and to try to match that up to my home audio system. So in my car, I have a what they call a 2.1 system, two speakers and one subwoofer, and at home I have, I think, four regular tower speakers and then two subwoofers. So I wanted it to sound exactly like my car, and what I did is I used a tool called Spectroid, and Spectroid is able to analyze like the sound waves and tell you like the highs, the lows, and mediums part of a frequencies, and it's able to give you a signature of what you're actually hearing, right, in terms of all of those different scales of sound. Well, if you feed that into ChatGPT, which of course you can take a picture, a screenshot of your real-time analysis of this of a song playing, you feed it back to it, it can actually tell you, well, your lows are a little bit underwhelming, or maybe you're a little bit boomy in your bass, or maybe your treble, your frequencies are too sharp, whatever. It's able to diagnose your sound based on the screenshots that you flow back and forth to it. So although it took me a while to get to that point, I was actually able to get my sound to sound exactly the way I want it to sound only after, and I don't want to make this too simplistic, but I might have had maybe 300 different interactions with ChatGPT, and I'm talking about different screenshots, different songs, different pictures, a different analysis of the frequencies to do the fine-tuning of each one of the speakers, the volume of each, and so on and so forth. So it did take a considerable amount of time, but it was much quicker had I had to hire somebody to do it for me or had some fancy tool to
Oh
come
yeah.
up with, this type of measures that it would just have been way outside of my comfort zone and knowledge zone to be able to come up with all of the analysis of these, rather elaborate frequency responses coming from my system. So therefore, I was able to get it to that point by simply posting pictures back and forth as screenshots to ChatGPT to get me to where I wanted to be. So that's my use case this week and how I use ChatGPT or AI for my personal use.
That's amazing. You said it was Spectroid? Was that what it's called?
Spectroid. Yeah.
Spectroid.
hmm
Wow. Okay, okay. And then what car do you have? I'm just a little curious. What car are you owning? That's the sound system's that good.
It's an old car. This is
Okay.
a this is a old Honda Accord EX that's got it's got a
Oh.
nice subwoofer, uh,
Ah.
excellent speakers. I actually think that the stereo system or the audio system in that car is better than the audio system in the cars made in the last 5 years. Of course, I'm not talking high-end Bose or Polk or anything like that, but like your average car. Sound
They
systems
did
are
it
not as
better back
good.
then.
They did it better. They did it.
They
They
did
put
it
a lot
better.
more effort into it. No question about it.
My dad's first car was a Honda Accord as well. So I think
See?
I don't really remember the sound system of it because I was super young when he would drive me around
Yeah.
the Honda Accord.
Yeah.
But I can only imagine, right? No, yeah, I agree. Okay.
Amazing. I love it. Love it.
What an interesting way. Spectroid. I think I'm gonna
Spectrum.
have to definitely do some Instagram content on Spectroid then.
Check it out.
But
By
that's
no means.
perfect.
If you're into audio system and hi-fi and the quality of sound, it's very worthwhile.
Perfect. Okay, so let's go to Harini now for AI this week.
So, this week I used AI a lot, but like the most common use is like even for to know more about the weather. I asked, "Hey Google, what's the weather today?" and where the AI is involved, and also I can say I use the Google Maps where the AI to predict the traffic and suggest the fastest route. Even we can say I used for the cool Snapchat filters, like where we have AI powered beauty modes on my phone, like that. And also I use for my professional use, I used AI for completion of my emails and suggesting the responses. At that place, I used mostly this week, and a more like a chat GPT for small questions, and for the projects what I used. Yeah, this is all what I used this week.
Perfect, perfect. I think that Google Maps is also something that I've recently kind of been put on. I don't know. I'm always like an Apple Maps kind of person, but
Yeah.
there's honestly been too many times where it just hasn't done its job. I'm just at the wrong place. I'm in like a random alley somewhere near to the place, and I
Mm-hmm.
can't even get there anymore. And
Right.
I think Google Maps definitely does that less. So I've switched over. Right?
Oh
It's
yeah,
just
nice,
I've switched over. Yeah.
nice. Good for
I
you.
don't know if the
Victory.
AI is actually making that better, but I would love to say the AI is making it better, especially for this podcast. But
Yeah.
I really don't know what it is, but I definitely just transitioned over that wave. So I think that's good.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, perfect. So I think Agentic AI. I think we all understand that now we haven't seen this kind of a jump until recently. I think I'm not sure when Operator was announced, but you know, just I mean I've been seeing some of the videos of it. I've been seeing some of the like the little screen
Right.
recordings of it and
Screen grab.
showing
Yeah.
how it goes into a different browser and does all these
Mm-hmm.
things. And it's pretty amazing. I think uh, it's just a great thing to talk about right now and
It
kind of
is.
like debunk a bunch of controversies and kind of
Mm-hmm.
misunderstandings that people have about it.
Yeah.
So I do want to start with can we can we both kind of talk about how we would use Operator like today if we all had I'm not sure if you all have the Chat GPT Pro plus models and all that, but how would we use that today?
I mean, I would use it for I would use it for non-critical type of activities. And but I mean that would be limited because, for example, this is going to automate the actual usage right on your computer. So you're going to be seeing your cursor moving. You're going to be see data being entered on your behalf. You're going to be witness to seeing yourself working, except it's not you actually doing it. You're going to see your data being entered on your behalf, credit card information and such, which even brings up other questions, right? It brings up other questions of how secure is the data? Can someone get to your data? Where is that data stored? That you're entering my credit card information, you enter my confidential information, you may go into my personal records. And again, it sets up a whole other set of questions about who do you really want to give access to, even though it's an automated model. Do you want it to have access to this type of information on your behalf? Because
Exactly.
it can fall into the wrong hands. And that's what we're all afraid of. And that's why we all have credit monitoring. And that's why we have alarms in our cars and alarms in our homes, is because the uh, you don't want these type of agents to get a hold of your information and do things, nefarious things with it that you don't necessarily want. So along with being excited about the technology, I'm also aware about the limitations. I'm also aware about the risks that we all have in being able to have, in having more convenience at the cost of giving up some of that protection over our data. The fact that maybe some people don't want to share their credit card information with anybody, right? There's a lot of online stores you go to. They'll ask you, do you want me to store your credit card information at my store for usage next time? Many people, including myself, we say no most often because you hear about all the break-ins, you hear about people that are stealing this information. So then you think, well, if that's going to be the safety that you can't guarantee safety for my credit card information, I'd just rather not have it there at all, period. And I'll just go through the hassle of having to re-enter it each and every time. So anyway, the operator looked really cool on the videos, and I was fascinated by the technology in and of itself. But it did remind me about these pitfalls and concerns for privacy and data and what we are going to allow it to do for us, that there's a trade-off in there somewhere. Maybe I don't want to use it to log into my bank. Maybe I don't want to use it to do a transaction, in which case there are going to be other things that I need done on my computer that maybe I don't want to do myself, but I want to have something else take care of it for me while I go have a drink or I go have lunch or go outside for a stroll, whatever. It's very beneficial in that regard.
Yes. No, I think as we do move forward, and this is perfect because this kind of ties into other things that we want to talk about as well when it comes to ethics. Because I think
Yeah,
each and every week we do this podcast, we're gonna have more and more of a section for ethics. Because I think
yeah, yeah.
at the rate at which AI is moving, I mean, who knows what's gonna happen even next week or the week after. But
True.
I think that ethics is just a huge conversation. I think cybersecurity, if anybody out there is trying to get in somewhere, I think cybersecurity is a big place that's just going to keep growing with, especially how we're seeing AI just reach different heights.
Yeah, I granted within cybersecurity, there are really these two branches I can think of off the top of my head of security. One is security that's done by people. The other type is security that's now being done by AI. So
Right.
AI now, in some ways, is being used to counter security being done by individuals and by people and companies. So now they're saying things that, well, they're seeing things and creating attacks that are more believable, they're more credible. Think about emails that you get. Think about the text messages you get. Think about the voicemails you get now that are credible, they're believable. Sometimes they even go as far as imitating somebody's voice. Right?
Yeah.
There was a concern many months ago, or even years ago at this point, where they were calling you and trying to get you to say the word yes, so that they can call your bank and act as yourself. Just clone your voice and act on your behalf. So
That's
anyway,
crazy.
it brings up a lot of these different concerns that people have, and rightfully so, because nobody wants to be at the tail end of any one of these attacks. But again, you're now having sort of a counter cybersecurity um, going up against regular cybersecurity as we think of it to this point. Now you have AI being asked, well, how would you go about circumventing these measures that are in place to get around that security? And as we've seen, AI is very resourceful. So it can come up with options, and it goes back to ethics, right? So how much of those ethical concerns are being used to train the model so the models know, don't teach people how to build bombs, don't teach people how to do things
Yeah.
that are going to break the law. So therefore, we have to rely on the models being trained to at least have, I would say, a common sense model of what right and wrong is.
Yeah.
And this is the very same week we just did a webinar on DeepSeek where, some decisions were made about the training of the model and the responses it gives that they don't really align with everyone else's belief of what right and wrong is or what people think fair and not fair is. So, right, it brings up all of the questions into focus. So I think that that's where as a whole the language models that we rely on for our use cases that we mentioned before, they're playing such a larger and continue to play a larger role in our lives that to skew the data purposely, let's say, or to change the data so it doesn't maybe fully train on all of the known information is indeed giving us biased information. So we have to be very cautious about that, and we have to be cognizant of that. We may not always be getting the utmost truthful information when we post these queries.
I agree. I think also when it comes to new management, when it comes to, I think there's been a lot of talk in the news about, there's like this feud between Elon Musk and Sam Altman, and they're trying to someone's Elon Musk is trying to buy out Altman, and Altman is staying firm on his cause. I think it was like some kind of crazy $70 billion amount that was going to be paid, but I think Altman did understand that no, like I think that's an infringement on what kind of media will be portrayed. Because you know as we do go further on, and then who knows what new AI is going to be
Hmm.
given out in the future. I think
Right.
definitely management is also a big thing. And so going off of like that kind of news highlights that I'm seeing, there's been a lot of you know um actually no let me go into this topic here. I
Hmm.
think that uh now we're talking a lot about the involvement between humans and AI. Now, when we come to operator, we do see that now that has been that threshold has been
Right.
increased. Now we're giving more and more autonomy to AI. And Harini, I want you to kind of give your thoughts on this. What do you think would be an ideal partnership between humans and agentic AI? What does that look like? Okay.
I think that first of all, like public should know like what's true and how it is. So when coming to the human and AI interaction, it should know there should be some rules where there should be limits for certain areas, mainly like coming to suppose if you consider an area like military, it's equally important to have the human decision along with the AI's work. So in some scenarios, like if you consider suggestions in the Amazon, at that case, there is not really necessary to have the human interaction with the AI. But when we talk about data analytics and automation, all this can be done without human. But when we are having some judgments and when we need to follow some ethics for some areas, like mostly like crime areas or military, some
Mm.
politics, there should be like a finalized statement, a human approval before they're considering just an AI answers. So like there should be some small guide to be needed. That's how I feel it's a better interaction between the human and the AI. The good partnership is equally important to having the automation as well. So that's my suggestion for how the partnership between the human and agentic AI should be. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, the growth of these agentic AI systems is following a pattern if you take a look at what people are actually doing with these. And I think they're logically being careful about what they're turning over to agentic AI. So the types of things that are probably better models for agentic AI would be simpler tasks, tasks that have a very, very narrow scope of outcomes, let's say. And that in and of itself kind of lessens the criticality of their decision making. It's where you begin to fold in some of the use cases that are more impactful, where you will essentially at some point you'll reach a use case where agentic AI makes a wrong decision, learns the wrong thing, and therefore acts in a way that is inconsistent or incongruent with the way that you believe it should have acted. And therefore, again, the criticality of the application of the agentic AI system is, I think, key. And that is the human part of the human agentic AI interaction, right? It's to make that decision early on to say, this use case is fitting for this type of model, this use case is not. I'm not about to have it, for example, monitor my life support system, right? Just as an example, I will not have it do that because it is a difference of life and death, and I do not want it to make the wrong decision for myself or anyone else for that matter. So then when we look at things of that nature, the application of it makes all the world difference.
I agree. I agree. Perfect. I think that brings a good point that I just kind of thought about. I think it was so perfect how OpenAI marketed the reservations for operator as like their way to kind of showcase this technology to the world. I think a lot of people, including myself, we all saw the AI literally go in and
Hmm.
type in a reservation and say, no, just get I want it between this time and this time, and then I want it at this, and then all of a sudden after it was done, you can go back and say, no, I actually want it on this day, not this day, and the AI will just do it. And I
Yeah.
think we all saw that and we all went, wow, that's it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I
Right.
think that I'm sold. Give me it right now, right? Here's my card. So I think
Yeah.
no, yeah, like you said, I think the simpler things can be so much easier. Booking a reservation, booking a dental appointment, booking a healthcare appointment, that kind of stuff. I think that's the future. I think that's all gonna be
Yeah.
automated in the future. Um,
Imagine booking a table at a restaurant, right?
and then canceling that with the AI and being,
Yeah.
hey, no, I actually want it
Sure.
in this week because I'm
Hmm.
busy this week, and the AI is like, oh, sure, like that's you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like that's crazy.
I'll do it for
Um,
you, sort of thing.
but yeah, that does go to say the deeper things, the more important things, definitely should be on hold until we get a more ethical understanding. So I'm
Yeah, ethics and maturity of the technology, right? Because, well, although you're looking at the language models being fairly new, I just saw a prediction, I think it was yesterday, where someone predicted, someone, again, it's one of these, the owners of one of these companies that does modeling, talking about that by 2027, the models will be smarter than like all the people in the world. So it is like, if just picture that, just picture that for a moment, that in 2 years, well, not 3 years, I suppose, we will have a model that is that intelligent. That's just mind blowing, right? When you think about it that way. So similarly, you have to look at the agentic AI progression and the maturity of it, and you have to say, well, I'm not going to trust it with anything critical right now. I'm not going to trust it with guarding our nuclear arsenal. I'm not going to trust it with policing my street. Right? There's things that they need to be done by people until you have, or maybe it'll never happen, but that you will have 100% assurance that every decision it makes is right. But my point about the maturity of the language models is if we're going that far ahead that quickly, we're still facing disclaimers on the chat models that say, by the way, this is not altogether accurate. You are going to get incorrect information every now and then. That's the key question. Every now and then could be the time that you really need it to give you an accurate answer, and that could be the time that it doesn't. So you take it with a grain of salt. Back to agentic AIs and how this applies. At some point, we hope it's at a 98, 99% accuracy level, so that then, most systems are within that margin of error anyway. You
Mhm.
think that when we reach that point, okay, yes, maybe we'll rely and we'll expand the functionality of it to more use cases, but for right now, I think much, much too early.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. And I do, because yeah, go ahead, Harini, go ahead.
So like when we are talking more about ethical part, so like there should be some things which AI need to follow. Like it should be able, AI should provide some clear reasons like for its decisions, and experts should know to be able to inspect and test AI systems before. And the most important thing is it should be bias check, like it should be trained on different sets of data, not a single type of data. It's like diverse data is like the most important thing which we need to be considered when coming to the ethics of mostly this is like this really takes this parts, so all these rules are mostly important when we are considering for healthcare, like you know
Right.
it's really important. And even in the finance, even in the law, all these parts, it's
Right.
like the most important parts, like having some rules, having some disclaimers, and yeah, all these are really important, the ethical values. And even some, I think it's important that government should also create some laws to be using AI. And other part of this is like due to the AI, we even have some disadvantages in our daily life. We are like too much dependent on AI. So like before, when we were trying to do a task, we just go to Google or try to understand by ourselves. But now it's like using more AI into us, like asking the chatbots about how can I cook, how can I make this dish, or how can I
Hmm.
work on this project, and it's like everything AI. So this might make human a bit more lazy, but yeah, we should make sure that AI should not lead this in this part. Yeah, so that's what I
It's
can say.
actually a great point. I love that you brought that up because I,
Yeah.
I, I heavily agree that I think that we may, I mean, obviously, I don't know if you guys have seen Wall-E,
Oh
but
yeah. Wow.
Wall-E, I think
Yeah.
that's gonna be like a true depiction of what's gonna happen because we're all just kind of like she said, we're all kind of like me today, right? Me today. I'm kind of searching up AI. I'm like, doing a podcast, but usually organically, I would have to, if I didn't have to use AI, I would go on and I would try to, go on all these other links and really
Yeah.
learn. But now I'm kind of just lazy. I go to an AI and I ask it, and they give me a full PDF of everything I need to know.
Yeah.
So,
There's a flip side of
definitely,
that, right? there's a
Right.
flip side of that. There's a flip side of that, and I'll give you a different take.
Yeah.
Is the part of us that's becoming lazy is also becoming more efficient because you didn't have to spend, you would have had to do that task anyway, but you didn't spend an hour doing it. So now you have that time back. You become more efficient just by that simple fact that you were able to get the information much quicker, available, sifted, referenced, and within at the blink of an eye. It would have taken you a good half hour, maybe or so, maybe more, to go through that documentation on your own, to click through the links, to see what applies, what doesn't apply, to absorb it. Not you wouldn't be summarizing it for yourself. You'd have to summarize it, like some other way. But in essence, you now have that hour or that half an hour back in your life, and that's the same thing for everyone else. Me figuring out this issue with my stereo system, my audio system, I have that time back now that I wouldn't be spending doing something else, doing it on my own necessarily. So for all the information that's available through this exchange, we're getting time back in our lives to do other things.
That's true.
Um,
That's
yeah,
true.
that's true. But however, I can say when we are working for a project at that case, that's a good idea. But when we are talking about academics, mostly about assignments, um,
Yes.
this will be a big no, I can say, because
Oh,
like
I
how
agree. I
quickly
do not. Yes, I agree.
our hands go off to ChatGPT
Yeah.
or Gemini or some other platforms,
Yeah.
cloud, to answer questions, and we will never going to be learned again. We will
Great
always be
point,
dependent on
Harini.
that. That's true.
Great point. Great
As a
point.
student, I do not comment on what's going on right now. I would
That's
say,
true.
um, I look, I agree. I agree. I think it's literally way too. As a student right now, it's like actually way too easy to just go on and kind of learn things
Mm,
and sometimes you can learn the wrong thing and you can use ChatGPT for the wrong reasons and I've seen a lot of people fall victim to that, but
yeah.
um, I think now more than ever, if you do really want to take it seriously, there's even more distractions now. As a student,
Yeah.
you can just literally get the answer. But
Right.
now you can choose to say, okay, I could just ChatGPT this, or I could literally actually learn it
Mhm.
from the
Mhm.
AI.
Yeah.
So it could still help in that case.
Yeah.
But it's now the choice is definitely difficult. More difficult than it ever has been. So
Yeah.
no,
Well,
I definitely do agree.
when you look at it, though, I mean, I think back to my old college days, and of course, we didn't have any of this technology. But similarly, students wanted to get cliff notes, and they wanted to get summaries of books and reports and other things. So the need was always there. It's just how you get that that's now coming into in a different medium. So in essence, this is satisfying a need that already exists. In my college days, your college days, and in future generations, people are going to want a summary level information of the book that they've been asked to read, and any other assignments. But mind you, and this is a kind of a side note, there are better ways to detect whether papers you're submitting are actually coming from a large language model or not. So if I know some professors who are actually using it, and they're running the submissions through these models to try to see if that person wrote that paper or it was written by one of the models.
Right. And I've
So
also
keep
seen
that
the
in
other
mind.
way around. I've seen I mean on social media, I've seen some people that have submitted something and I mean they've claimed that they've handwritten the whole thing, but then like it's my professor told it was AI and I swear I
Yeah,
did it all by my own and all this is also happening too. So I think there's gonna be a huge new kind of like sector, I guess, of learning that's gonna
right.
be like AI detection is gonna be
Yes,
like a new thing,
yes, right,
which
right.
is also crazy to think about. But
Yeah, no, it is.
the but yeah, I do want to kind of go more in the future because we did start off we did kind of go with like how with the ideal partnership, but now I want to ask you, Harini, I want to ask you, um, could agentic AI ever reach a point where it's no longer dependent on human oversight? Do you think that we can input as much data and kind of human input as much like because there is a model with agentic AI that learns from things and adapts to things. will there be a point where it doesn't need to learn from humans anymore?
Well, so like there are many recent advancements as we see. Like every month there is like new AI, like new development in the existing AIs. Like there is a lot of things going on. So like AI is like no longer just a tool that just follows a simple instructions. Like it's getting like much better in making decisions. We need to thank for this all the exciting advancements, but. Even now it can even solve the complex problems, and even it can plan steps to solve them, and even it can take the actions without human, but I can see still it is not completely independent. We can say that it's not still completely independent, because as we discussed before, um, like it depends on how much freedom are we giving to the AI. So as we already discussed, like if it's just like suggesting a movies on Netflix, that's completely fine. We can just, it's not a big deal. But when we are deciding whether you get a loan or a job, then we definitely don't want it to be taken a complete independent decisions. At that phase, we need a final call from the human. It's kind of like a self-driving car. Like, would you let drive all by itself or with no steering wheel? You'll definitely want a human will be available, but along with that, AI will be working. That's the good idea. So we need to give the freedom, where the mistakes are not a big deal, but at some important steps, humans should stay to control that. Yeah.
Right, self-driving cars. That's another topic too. I think that does really go into there's a huge divide. There's a huge, I feel like, I don't know, I don't want to say 50-50, but I mean, I think that this is definitely generational of like how willing we are to use self-driving cars, and how willing we are to just let AI control you on the highway and self-drive the car. I think that's still for me. I mean, I don't want to call myself an old soul, but I just feel like I could never in
Well,
my life.
have you seen videos of people on highways falling asleep? Falling asleep and the car is driving at high speeds and it's, right, you've seen it. Like, that's a level of comfort with the technology that is beyond what most people are doing. Like, most people are not really trusting it to go at 65, 75 miles an hour on the highway where anything can happen and fall asleep. You've got to be very
It's
comfortable to do that.
unreal, yeah. So I think, yeah, there's definitely a difference in how a lot of people feel, but yeah, I think me personally, I could never. I need to be focused on the road. I need to be, human interaction needs to be there.
Yeah.
If we do ever get to that point, then I would need to. I would need 100%, because that also goes into kind of the medical field too. If we want to use AI in the medical field, and if we
It
want
does.
things to happen for surgery, I feel
Yeah.
like the only reason for like this kind of, for driving and for like healthcare, for these two
Hmm.
applications especially, like for me, if I don't see 100% that it's working, there's
Yeah.
not one case where it didn't work,
Hmm.
then I'm not gonna. I'm gonna be. Let's say if I see one case where, okay, nope, somebody was killed because
Hmm.
the car swerved.
Right.
Nope, I'm done.
Right.
Can't do it.
Right. Right.
So same thing goes for healthcare. The like we are saying, there's a big distinction on where we want to use AI, where we don't want to use AI, and where
Yeah.
it basically has to be perfect.
Well,
And
think about that scenario, right? Think about the
right,
car scenario that you're describing. In the car scenario, is there any guarantee that the driver behind you isn't going to suddenly speed up and bump you if you're on auto mode? Is there
nope,
any guarantee your tire isn't going to suddenly hit a glass or a nail on the highway at 75 miles an hour? Is there any guarantee a deer isn't going to run across the road suddenly and either be hit by the car or make you lose control? Is there any guarantee that any of that can happen? The
hmm
fact is, there isn't. There is no guarantee
exactly,
any of those things
exactly.
can happen. So, can you ever have a system, automated, mind you, not relying completely on the same faculties that we all have, reach the point of 100% certainty, saying you are never going to have an accident? Can it say that? I don't know. That's a great question for somebody else.
For
But
somebody
really,
else.
somebody else, because I don't know that you can ever guarantee that all of the that you can avoid all of the difficulties in life. We'll put it that way. All the accidents in life
Mm.
through a model. Can a
Mm.
model make you live a perfect life
Mm.
free of accidents in your home, free of accidents in your car, free of any difficulties? It can foresee a truck losing its brakes or unable to apply its brakes, a block behind you, or one that's tipping over, or again, ice on the road, or fog, and can it see through the fog? So many different scenarios, Keshav, that for something to be 100% guarantee, it's just going to be very, very difficult to get there.
Yeah.
No, I do 100% agree. I definitely, yeah, I think the human fight or flight response can't be AI. I'll take my
Mm,
fight or flight any day of the week compared to an AI trying to figure out what happened when the nail hit the tire. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
think that's just the main thing.
And
Um,
it's a combination of things, right? Because when you're looking at the car itself, we're focusing on the AI part, but think about the sensors that have to work flawlessly. What if a sensor's got dust on it? What if a sensor falls? What if a sensor fails? We're now not talking about AI. We're talking about AI getting information from the sensors in order to come up with what is the best course of action given the latest information. What if any one of those technical aspects fails? The battery goes bad or the battery fails. So many components inside any one, even the simplest of cars. So how do you also compensate for that with 100% certainty? It's hard to say. Though a lot of people, like yourself, a lot of people would say, I would rather take the risk myself than hand it over, lose control of the decision making to anything, any machine, any kind of logarithmic type of computational model. I would rather take the chance myself of making the wrong decision than having it completely out of my hands.
right, right. Definitely, I agree. Okay, so I also do want to get into kind of the media and how AI is being portrayed on the media because I mean I do a lot of content basically every day on what I'm seeing every day in the media from AI news, from AI fascinations, from blog posts, from what Elon Musk is doing today with AI. Mean, there's different things, and I do want to ask you, Harini, I want to ask you how can we encourage more nuanced conversations about what agentic AI can do and what it can't do? So, you know, go ahead and let me know. Yeah.
So I can say like mainly the media affects how public think about the AI. So because of the sensational headlines saying like they are more publishing like dramatic stories like how it is threatening human and like more about the risks. So it's better to tell about the more advantages than compared to you know which is in stop talking more which is imaginary and talking which is reality. So that's the most important thing what media need to be focused on. And first of all the main the main topic which gets in the media whenever the AI comes is like the AI will be replacing all the jobs and like it create the panic that
Yeah.
should be that should be avoided first. And
Yeah.
even this like the even the Hollywood influences like the sci-fi or future reality movies that really influences the public about it. So that like the public should understand that they are just these movies are just like a fictional and they're just like not too realistic. They should understand the difference between the reality, and the media should also try to create the awareness of what's the good which we are going to get. And as we talked before, like the limitations of the AI and in the field where we shouldn't be using more autonomous AIs. At that case we need to be very careful. In reality, like we should able to understand all the public that it's just a tool and it will
Yeah.
definitely need the human approval for that. And no, that's the most important thing. And yeah, we need to take care when the media need to be take care of this. Yeah.
Right. I do agree. I do agree. I think the influence that we do see from Hollywood and from all these big kind of media corporations is what skews a lot of the mindset that goes into it. And I think what a big mission of GenAI Consulting itself is that we're just trying to kind of debunk that myth, that kind of Hollywood myth that is being put out there from Terminator, iRobot. Those are the two that come to my head right now. There's definitely more. Those are my favorites, obviously. But there's just all these myths, and then I think genuinely there are people out there that do go right to that and take that fantasy as a reality. And I think that what our mission is that, there is a lot of ways you can save time in your day to day with AI, no matter if you are a business or an individual. So I think that's a great point to bring up. And yeah, I think that that's going to be it for today for our podcast, for our Agentic AI podcast. Thank you both, Jaime and Harini, so much for joining me today.
Very welcome.
Um, thank you. And
Thank you, Keshav, for hosting a great podcast.
yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you. And yeah, I think to the viewers, this is gonna be a second episode. We're gonna have episodes every week, so make sure to check out our YouTube. It is linked on our Instagram, and this should be also linked on our YouTube as well. So make sure to check out our other videos, and we have webinars on our LinkedIn. And Jaime, if you want to talk about that for a little bit, we can do that.
As far as the next one, or how often we do
Yes,
them?
yes,
Well, we do them every 2 weeks, and they're kind of rolling topics. We did our first webinar on AI for small and medium-sized businesses, and we just did the most recent webinar 2 days ago on DeepSeek controversies and trying to unravel some of those, fallacies and some of those misconceptions about DeepSeek and such. So the next one we're still working on, but it should be in the next 2 weeks.
perfect. And there we go. I think we'll end there. Thank you both so much for today. And
Thank you, Keshav. Thank you,
we'll
Harini.
catch you guys next week on the new
Thanks, guys.
podcast.